there, Joey here. I am looking forward to sharing this video with you today because I've heard a lot of people talking about what are the best books to read when you're planning to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail. And there's some really popular books out there right now. If I say that, probably the book Wild by Cheryl Strayed comes to mind, or Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. Those are both very good books. I've read both of them, but there are also a lot of other great books to help you plan your thru-hikes. I wanted to share with you what I'm reading right now, some books that are on my reading list for the future, and also some books that I found that are great planning resources for my trip. So I'm going to talk about those today, and I can't cover everything that's out there. There's so much good stuff. So I also put together a recommended reading list that's available on Amazon, and I will put the link to that down in the comments. So if you want to have a good selection of, I think it's about 15, maybe close to 20 books at this point, that's a great reference. So check the comments for that. So getting started, where did I start? What got me going to plan an Appalachian Trail thru-hike? It actually was my husband, because he heard about this book and suggested that I read it, and when I did, the rest is history. I was hooked. This is Awall on the Appalachian Trail. It's by David Miller, and he tells his story of hiking the Appalachian Trail back in 2003. He has since gone on to actually develop the Appalachian Trail Guide, not to be confused with the guide that's published by the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, which I'll show you later on. But he does an annual guide, and this book itself is just a great resource. I found it not only inspiring, but also it just felt like it had a lot of very good, very real information in terms of what it's like to hike the trail. Physically, emotionally, logistically, all of those kinds of things. There was one thing in this book that kind of terrified me, and I'm still a little scared about that, and it was David's description of crossing the Palisades Parkway in New Jersey, and I'm still a little anxious about that. We'll figure it out. I've been on that road, and the idea of crossing a multi-lane highway with my pack strapped on my back is a little daunting, but we'll see. I highly recommend this. My husband is still working through reading it right now, but it's a great book, and I encourage you to pick it up if you haven't seen it already. Another book that I got, and this one I actually downloaded on an app called Overdrive, where it's an app you can get for your iPhone, and you can link it to your public library and download books for free. You can get ebooks and audiobooks. I downloaded this as an audiobook to listen to on my Honduras trip. Didn't know much about it. I hadn't heard too many people talking about it, but it turned out to be a really great book for me. Now, the author, Paul Stutzman, hiked the Appalachian Trail after losing his wife to cancer. So he was going through the grieving process, had quit his job, and was really trying to figure out who he was as a man, as a widow, really, as a man who'd lost his wife and was looking at living the rest of his life in kind of a new reality for him. Now, Paul is an ex-Mennonite, and he does talk a lot about religious philosophy in here. In fact, his trail name is Apostle. So I realize that may not be for everybody, but for me, listening to this book while I was on my Honduras mission trip was actually perfect timing to be hearing this book. And there were some great tidbits in here that I haven't bookmarked, so I can't read them to you, but they just really touched me in terms of the spiritual journey that can accompany the walk, the journey through yourself and understanding the big picture of life and why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing and that sort of thing. So that was very, very valuable for me. It might be valuable for you as well. So I encourage you to get hiking through and take a look at that if those kinds of things are of interest to you. Next up, Grandma Gatewood's Walk. And this is another one that I listened to on audiobook. I actually was driving from Georgia to Florida, so I had several hours in the car, and it was a great book to listen to. And I picked it up from the library just so that I could show it to you. If you haven't heard of Grandma Gatewood, you need to get to know her. She is just an awesome lady, and I found this book so inspiring. She was a country woman, lived really a tough life, and as you get into the book, you'll get to hear about some of the ordeal that she contended with as a mother, as a wife, starting out from a very young age. But she decided to go and hike the trail at 1955. That was many years before I was born. And very few people had thru-hiked at that point. It was kind of impossible. And this woman did it in tennis shoes and with what I call a laundry sack, basically just a real basic bag. She just decided that she needed to go for a walk and walk out all the issues that she had. I don't think she even thought about it that deeply. She just needed to go. And this is the story of her adventure and how she drew attention to the Appalachian Trail, which actually had been finished for about 20 years or so at the time that she went out on it, but it wasn't very popular. It wasn't well known until the news media started picking up on this story of a grandmother who was out hiking the trail. And just absolutely wonderful book. Can't recommend it enough. And when I start to wonder about, can I do this? Am I strong enough? Do I have it in me? I just say, Grandma Gatewood did it. I can too. Now, those I've already read, and as I mentioned, I've also read Wild, which is about the Pacific Crest Trail, not the Appalachian Trail. And I've read Bill Bryson's book, which is, he actually didn't finish his through hike. It's a very funny book, but I think in terms of planning a through hike, it can be interesting and has some good information in it. But the ones I've been looking for and that I like the best are ones where somebody's actually completed the through hike and they're giving end-to-end information. So I have a little bit of a through hike bias on that one. So with that caveat, this book, Walking on the Wild Side, I just got from the library, and it's interesting because this woman, I don't believe she hiked the whole trail, but she's a sociologist, and she is looking at some of the psychology and sociology behind why people hike. Why are through hikers doing what they're doing? What kind of community do they have? What is that sort of subculture, if you will? I don't want to call it counterculture, but subculture of hikers, and the perceptions of the subculture of hikers versus what the hiking culture is really like. So I have just started this one. I'm only maybe 20 pages in, but it looks to be a very interesting read if that is something that piques your interest. Next, In Beauty May She Walk, another library book that I picked up because it was recommended on some of the forums that I'm in on Facebook as being a very good book. And this is by a woman who hiked the trail at 60. So a little bit older than I am, but again, an inspirational story. If she can do it at 60, then certainly I can do it in my early 50s. Her name is Leslie Mass. And the book is In Beauty May She Walk, which is inspired by a poem that she read. And I'm looking forward to reading this one just to hear more about her story and how she dealt with both the physical and the mental challenges of hiking the trail. One more that I picked up from the library that I'm getting ready to read. This is Walking with the Ghost Whisperers by Model T is his trail name, J.R. Model T Tate, and it's Lore and Legends of the Appalachian Trail. So I think this will have some good stories in it. And he's actually written another book, which I apologize, I'm forgetting the name of it at this point, but he's written another book as well. I've heard they're both good, so I'm going to dig into this when I have a little bit more time to read. So that's what I've read, what I'm getting ready to read, and then I also am, even though it's almost 9 months away, 8 months away, time is ticking, I've got some good resource books that I've been using to get a better understanding of the trail, what I need to pack, that sort of thing. I picked up Chris Cage's book, How to Hike the Appalachian Trail. This is one of the first books I got, and I was really hoping that it would truly be How to Hike the Appalachian Trail. This would be a handy thing to have, right? It's good. It's got a lot of nice little anecdotes, but I don't know if you can see, some of these sections are very short and brief. So he goes through and talks about, say, in New Jersey, how long the trail is, what the highest point is, a quick overview, and as he says, why it's awesome, which is nice. Something else that I found that was interesting in here is he's got, if you're looking for sponsors for your hike, he's got a model and some instructions on how to go out and solicit sponsorships. He just hiked the trail recently, I believe it was 2012, if I remember correctly. And after he hiked the trail, he went and started a food company. So that's interesting that the hike itself actually changed the direction of his life, as it does for a lot of people. So this is a good little reference book. It wouldn't be at the very top of my list for reference just because it doesn't have the depth of detail that I would be looking for, but it's a great overview. And so for somebody who's just kind of maybe thinking about hiking the trail and wants to get an idea of what it might be like and some of the resources that you would need, then this would be a good one just to pick up. Might be a good gift book for somebody who's thinking about hiking the trail. So then as you're really getting into the nitty-gritty, the Appalachian Trail Data Book is very handy, and this is one that I'm debating. I might actually throw it in my pack and take it with me. It's got data for the whole trail, so it gives you everything, mileage, shelters, where you can find campgrounds and water and all of that kind of stuff. So it's got just a very detailed, quick, handy reference for data about the trail. So if you don't feel like you need to take a full guidebook, or you're just going to rip a few pages out of your guidebook, but you still want to have a comprehensive view of the trail, then this could be something to take along with you. It's very light. I haven't weighed it, but I would best maybe 2 ounces. So good little handy reference. It goes well with the Appalachian Trail guide. I picked this up, it's the 2017 version, and as I mentioned, Awall also has a guidebook that I will probably buy when the 2018 version comes out, since I'm doing my hike in 2018. This is the one published by the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. You can order it from their website or from Amazon and some other places. It is got all of the kind of detail that you would find in the data book, like I just showed you. Same kind of matrices here. It's got elevation maps to show you as you're traveling what the elevation would look like on a certain section of the trail, and basically all of the information that you would need to plan your through hike. And that can be a little bit overwhelming, but also a great handy reference. And you can just rip out certain sections. If I say I'm going, say starting out Springer to I don't know, Smoky Mountains, for 1 or 2 weeks, you could just rip out the sections that you want and take those to have them lightweight in your backpack. So good reference to have. And then I also decided to go ahead and pick up the Appalachian Trail Thru Hike Planner. Most of the planning work that I'm going to be doing, I'll be using spreadsheets that I'm creating, and I found some resources where other people have put together things like lists of all the shelters and mileage and places to do food drops. So those are great to have in terms of getting access on the internet, but there's nothing like putting pencil to paper when you're planning. So the workbooks, there's worksheets in here, checklists, all kinds of things. There's even a little calendar here if you wanted to do a paper planning calendar. So this is just inexpensive, handy little reference. It's got just very direct advice. So not a lot of fluff, not a lot of history or anecdotal stories and that sort of thing. This is just, what do you need to know if you're actually going to go out and hike the trail? So I'm going to work through this, but I would probably, in the process, instead of doing all the worksheets, pen and paper, pencil and paper so you can erase, I may do that, but then I will probably go ahead and transfer everything over to digital version so that I can easily share that with my family. They can know what I'm doing, that sort of thing. But again, this looks like a good resource. And there is another book that goes along with this, which is a food guide. And I was checking that out at REI the other day. It looks good. I haven't bought it yet. I think I might actually just put it on my wish list. If somebody wants to give me a gift, it would be a great little book. Also published by the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and it's got what I thought was pretty cool, some recipes in it, and also little cards. So you could tear out the recipe, package up some food beforehand if you're doing mail drops, and stick the instructions in there that are already printed out for you. And that's another good book that would be a nice companion to this book here. So as I mentioned, I put together a list on Amazon, and you can find that in the comments, but just an example of, these are some of the books that are on the list, ones that I've read, ones that I haven't read, and they're all books that have come highly recommended to me, particularly if I haven't read them yet. They've got great recommendations from people that I've talked with about the trail and about what they're reading. So I hope that's helpful to you, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you would do so. And also I encourage you to comment. I'd like to see what people have to say, suggestions, feedback, and certainly can give you respond back as opportunity presents. So thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the trail. Take care.